Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why some people seem to handle stress like a pro, bouncing back from tough times while others crumble? Well, this new research dives deep into that very question, proposing a whole new way to think about how we manage stress. This paper, a preprint from researchers at Walking on Earth, Harvard Business School, Arizona State University, and the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, introduces something called stress intelligence, or C. They're saying that the difference between bouncing back and burning out isn't just about how much stress you face, but how well you understand and respond to your own signals. Think about it. We all face difficult situations, right? But some of us seem to navigate them smoothly, while others struggle and end up feeling sick or exhausted. Existing theories have looked at different pieces of this puzzle, like how we perceive stress or the physiological toll it takes, but no one has really put the whole process together. That is where stress intelligence comes in. The researchers define stress intelligence as a signal-informed regulatory capacity. What does that mean? It means your ability to manage stress is guided by your body and mind's actual signals, not just by habits or what you think you should be doing. This capacity works through three main steps, and they have to work together. First, you have to detect the stress. This isn't just about feeling a knot in your stomach. It is about noticing everything, from your heart racing and muscles tensing, to changes in your sleep patterns, feeling irritable or withdrawing from people. It is about picking up on all the little cues your body and mind are sending you, ideally before things get really bad. Second, you need to interpret those signals. What do they actually mean? Are the demands you are facing bigger than your current resources? Is this a manageable dose of stress, or is it the kind that is going to wear you down over time? This step is about understanding the message behind the signals, not just noticing them. Third, you deploy adaptive responses. This means choosing the right action for the situation. Do you need to push through something briefly? Do you need to rest and recover? Do you need to ask for help or change your plans? It is about picking the strategy that actually fits what is going on. The key here is integration. Detection needs to inform interpretation, and interpretation has to guide your response. If you detect stress but misinterpret it, you'll take the wrong action. Or you might detect and interpret correctly, but if you don't have a good range of responses, you are still stuck. This is where the research gets really interesting. They introduce a concept called skin-deep resilience. You know those people who always seem to be handling everything, always producing, always looking strong on the outside. They might be what the researchers call skin-deep resilient. They're functioning well outwardly, but underneath, they're burning through their reserves, accumulating hidden costs like higher cortisol levels, worse sleep, or emotional numbness. Existing resilience theories can't always tell the difference between true sustainable resilience and this skin-deep version until it is too late, often when the person finally breaks down. The paper points out that the transactional model of stress, for instance, tells us that stress is about how we evaluate demands versus our resources. But it doesn't explain why some people evaluate accurately and others don't. Allostatic load theory shows the physical costs of failed stress regulation. Resilience research identifies factors that help us bounce back. Coping research looks at strategy selection, and stress mindset research highlights the power of our beliefs about stress. But the authors argue these are all just pieces of the puzzle. They observe that strategies like cognitive reappraisal, which is generally seen as good for stress, can sometimes make things worse. It depends on whether people use it when it fits the situation. The same goes for stress mindset interventions. Their effectiveness can be really inconsistent, suggesting that something else is at play. This is the core idea. It is not about having one perfect skill, it is about the whole system working together. Your ability to detect signals, understand them, and then act is what truly matters. So, stress intelligence, or SI, is this integrated capacity. It is about being aware of your internal state, understanding what it means in the context of your demands, and then taking the right actions. It's a signal-informed approach to regulation. They also make a distinction between stress intelligence, psi, which is the theoretical framework or the general capacity, and stress quotient, or SQ, which is the measurable way to assess it in individuals. Think of general intelligence as the theory and IQ as the score. Let's break down those three components again. Detection is about catching those internal and external signals early. This includes subtle physiological changes like a slight increase in muscle tension or a dip in your focus, as well as behavioral cues like snapping at someone or neglecting your self-care, and psychological ones like increased worry or feeling down. Interpretation is about making sense of those signals. Are you truly overwhelmed, or are you just feeling a temporary setback? Can you tell if your interpretation of a situation is being skewed by how you are feeling physically or emotionally? A common failure here is dismissal, where you normalize accumulating problems, which delays action. And response is about choosing and doing the right thing. This means having a good toolkit of strategies, but more importantly, knowing when to use which one based on your detection and interpretation. It is also about monitoring if your chosen response is working and adjusting if it is not. Another cool aspect is that C isn't just about what happens in a single stressful moment. It operates on different time scales, moment-to-moment, day-to-day recovery, and longer-term accumulation of stress. You might detect and respond well in one stressful period, but C also helps you notice patterns over longer periods, prompting bigger life adjustments if needed. This brings us back to skin-deep resilience. The researchers explain that social systems often reward sustained output, regardless of the hidden costs. So, you might get a promotion or accolades for pushing through, creating a cycle that encourages you to ignore your body's signals. This is where loci can be particularly damaging. You might have the skills to appear resilient, but you are not truly managing your stress signals effectively, leading to that hidden wear and tear. The good news is that CI is presented as a trainable capacity. This means you can improve your detection, interpretation, and response skills. However, the authors are careful to point out that CI is not a magic bullet. It is an individual capacity, and it operates within larger structural and systemic contexts that also play a huge role in stress exposure and recovery. The central prediction of this framework is that if you measure someone's stress quotient's SQ, you can predict whether their high functioning is truly sustainable or if it is just skin deep. Those with lower SQ, even if they're performing well, should show a steeper decline in well-being and a faster buildup of physiological stress markers over time compared to those with higher SQ. They position Psi as something that bridges the gap between existing fields like coping flexibility, emotion regulation, and emotional intelligence. It takes elements from each but adds the crucial layers of multi-system signal detection and integration across different timescales. For example, while coping flexibility looks at strategy situation matching, C adds the idea that this matching needs to be based on sensing your internal signals, not just external demands. And while interoceptive awareness is about sensing your body, C requires that awareness to be coupled with interpretation and response to be truly adaptive. Looking at future directions, the researchers emphasize testing the skin-deep resilience differentiation. They believe that longitudinal studies tracking performance, biomarkers, and well-being in high-functioning individuals, with ESQ measured at the start, will be key. They also propose that ESQ might actually moderate how stress affects people, meaning higher SEU could buffer against the negative impacts of high exposure. They also highlight that integrated training addressing all three components of Psi detection, interpretation, and response should be more effective than focusing on just one. Because these parts are interconnected, improving one in isolation might not lead to the overall benefits that a holistic approach can provide. Of course, this is a theoretical framework and it hasn't been fully tested yet. The researchers acknowledge this limitation up front. They also mention that they've focused on the individual aspect of SI and the interpersonal dimension, how we influence others and how others support us in developing SI is an area for future research. Plus, extreme stress or trauma can deeply alter stress system calibration. And while Psi training might help, it can't always reverse those effects. And as we mentioned, systemic issues are still a big factor. So, to wrap this up, stress intelligence offers a compelling new way to understand why we react to stress so differently. It's not just about being tough or having the right coping skills. It's about being intelligent with your stress signals, detecting them, understanding them, and responding wisely. Its main contributions are providing a unified process model for stress regulation that fixes the fragmented nature of past research and offering a way to distinguish between true resilience and the potentially harmful deep resilience. This could be a game changer for understanding and intervening in stress-related issues. The next big steps involve developing reliable ways to measure SQ and then conducting studies to see if the predictions hold true, especially about differentiating sustainable from skin-deep resilience. Now, from my perspective, this research is really exciting because it gives us a practical framework for personal growth. It is not just about knowing what to do, but knowing yourself well enough to do what is right for your system at any given moment. The idea of signal-informed regulation really resonates. It is about listening to yourself in a nuanced way rather than just relying on autopilot or external pressures. I think the concept of skin-deep resilience is particularly important. It highlights how we might be inadvertently harming ourselves by prioritizing outward appearance of success over our actual well-being. This research could lead to interventions that are much more personalized and effective, helping us build genuine, sustainable resilience rather than just appearing resilient. Imagine training programs that actually teach us to tune into our stress signals and use that information wisely. That would be incredible. The future research directions they outlined, particularly around multi-method assessments and integrated training, seem like the logical next steps to really bring this framework to life. What do you all think? Have you ever felt like you were pushing through and ignoring your body's signals? Does the idea of stress intelligence resonate with you? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with anyone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more dives into fascinating psychology research. We'll be back soon with another mind-bending topic. Until then, stay curious and take care of yourselves.